are back. We are back. It is episode 7 of The Cut. Benny, how are we doing this morning?
Hey, hanging out. New mic, which is good.
New mic for the kid.
I know that's exciting. Went to go get my equipment fixed, and they were like, "Yeah, we can't fix this. You're gonna have to send it back to the manufacturer." So we got a portable mic for the meantime. Anyways, also trying to sit back a little bit from the camera. And watching these back, I realized I like to get up close and personal compared to you guys. But I figured everyone would like to see, my hairline, what's going on with my skin, all that stuff. But I'll save people from that. Try and sit back a little bit more, be patient. But anyways, Cody, how are you? What's going on, bud?
Very good. Beautiful morning here in Texas. I got the, wife's on the roads, had the kids all week. It's just it's been a little bit hectic to say the least, but we're making it. She'll get back home tomorrow. Just doing my duties, make sure everybody's fed, slept, nobody gets crazy sick, and we'll be good to go.
Good. Yeah, I can't imagine what 3 of those little gremlins running around and just one person to handle. That's got to take a little bit of your time, huh?
Yeah, it's okay. Once you figure out the rhythm, schedule is key, you're good to go there.
Good. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're going to talk about what? Oh, I thought that was my special guest. It's not the special guest. I'm sorry. It's the wrong feed. Of course, we got the guy, the main man himself, Mr. Tron Carter, in this week. We're going to break down everything from Tour Sauce, episode 6, his match against his brother. This is becoming like must-see TV now because it's just incredible drama. Good golf, but man, it just continues to build and build and build on itself. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I cannot wait to hear more. I know Tron has a lot to say, and I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about not only this match, but his history with his brother, and very appropriately kind of positions things at Pacific Grove of could have been nicer to Neil in a past life. So love to dive into some of that sibling rivalry and what has led us to today.
Yeah. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Second time guest already.
Yeah.
First time, second time guest, right?
Slim pickings, kind of like TC's hairline up there with the middle part going on. What is going on?
Not any better.
Well, yeah, but this is just natural. It happens over time, and I don't want to say anything because you never know when mine's going to start going back either. But we've seen this beautiful oil painting before. You've talked about it before, but what kind of is the genesis of this image that continues to pop up of you and your baby brother Neil?
Yeah, I have no idea why my mom commissioned that piece. It is like her favorite possession, though. She loves it. It hangs in their living room, so you see it when you walk in the front door. It's the first thing you see in the house, and it's been there. I think this was probably 6th or 7th grade for me, so it was like 1997, I think, 1998. And I wish I could go back and touch that thing up with some different hair going on. Put like a toupee on myself.
Let me ask you a serious question, because I know all hair guys go through this, and we've seen the evolution of your hair and kind of you growing it out and giving it kind of Custer's last stand there. But have you thought about investing in the hair? Like, would you be like a plugs guy if it came up?
No, I mean, you got to dance with what brought you, and I feel like at this point, it doesn't bug me. Like I like shaving my head. I might grow it out again. We posted that Rapsodo thing today that was filmed last year, and that was like I kind of miss that, right? The long flowing locks out the back of it. Now, granted, it was kind of like the Friars haircut. Where
yeah,
you got nothing here and everything's around the sides. But I don't think I'd ever be anybody that gets hair plugs or I've never used any product like a Rogaine or anything like that. It just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't bug me. I'm happily married, father of 2 boys. And like, I'm not looking for my hair to send any messages for me, I guess, which is also like Zach Johnson, like, guys like him. I'm like is so much personal worth tied up in your hair that you have to do this when, but it's clear that like you're losing it quickly, and everybody knows that you have hair plugs.
I can't believe you went ZJ there. I mean, I thought it easy to go to the cat. I mean, I think LeBron has a long, well-documented history of this. It's just one of those things where you're like, okay, guys, like you need to make a decision here. And I think people should applaud you for that.
Yeah. No, you got to commit to it. Oh shit. I mean, 3 of the 4 participants in the match this weekend.
Yeah, Spieth is going to be bald soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think Spieth's
Well,
had some help up there. I think
Yes.
JT's had some help up there. You know,
Do you think
Greller's on my side? Greller's very much like he's got the bald spot up here, but he just like does not care at all. It's great.
Do you think the hair plug and like teeth, does that come in a package? Is it like buy 2 get it for 50% off? Yeah. Why do these seem like they all run together in the offseason? That's what I love about January tournaments on the tour, because people show up and you're like, whoa, what's up, man? Like, where'd you get those pearly whites from? Now all of a sudden you have hair.
Yeah, having a real off season will definitely yield some more, surprises like that, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things too, where it's like that stuff, and then it goes hand in hand with like, off season bulking too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or slimming now. It could be the year of slim down. That's what Bryson's telling us. Don't follow my lead. Don't listen to what I say. It's not good for you. Now we got to slim down.
Well, it's funny on the hair front, like to bring it back to Neil and the sibling stuff, is Neil has like my mom's genes. Like she has like my mom's family's genes. Like he looks just like my mom's youngest brother, Tom. And like my mom has 4 brothers. All of them are like extremely bald. Like very, very, very bald. And I have my dad's genes mostly. Like I look like my dad's brother, and my grandpa on that side. And yet I got the hair stuff from my mom's side of the family, and Neil got the hair stuff from my dad's side of the family. So I've never been able to figure that out.
Well, outside of the hair, the Schusters can grow some pretty mean beards and facial hairs. That's the one thing I think that we kind of missed this year is Neil coming up to your guys' almost yearly match now and not doing anything too crazy or ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't send it.
Yeah, you had that haircut in Stockholm and went high and tight with it and looked just extremely clean cut.
Case in point, maybe it's just another file to put in the cabinet that the kid has grown.
Or the kid is dead.
Wow. Yeah. I think the kid that lineage needs to be passed on to someone. I think we need to recruit someone, and Neil can teach him his ways and kind of, that's how you get the next generation going. That's why I see there's so much turnover in all these YouTube groups all the time. We got to start figuring out how to harvest the next crop, man.
Freddie
should be thinking of this.
Right?
Freddie, except for we're talking about hair. I don't know which direction Freddie's hair is going to go. He could show up like next week with like this massive mullet down to his shoulders, rocking a big old goatee. You never know with you guys.
Freddie's got that Swedish hair though, doesn't he?
He does, very much so. Yeah. So, yeah, he's got great flow.
Speaking of good flow, episode 6, Barsabek. People haven't caught it. Go back, watch it. Phenomenal golf course, phenomenal venue. I didn't really know much about it outside of the research that we do, like planning the schedule and everything out, but I was shocked, man.
Yeah. Great course. Great. I think probably would have said some different stuff if we were there 3-4 years prior. It sounded like they've, not fell into disrepair, but probably went by the wayside a little bit as far as maintenance and trees and greens shrinking and everything. So it seemed like they had put some definite resources into it. I think they got a new owner here the last couple of years, and yeah, I loved it. It's a great course. It's like it's a mix of shit. You feel like you're at Harding Park in certain spots. You feel like you're playing links golf when you're down there, those 3 or 4 holes right on the coastline. There's a lot of variety to it, and it's a big ballpark, but it doesn't feel impersonal. Like it feels cool. There's some great par 4s out there. And that 17th hole, that kind of closing stretch is really, really cool, how it brings you back to the coast one last time there. I really enjoyed it. The thing that I think threw me for a loop a little bit was like the fairways were they were a little bit sticky.
Yes.
Like shaggy's not the right word, but they were a little bit sticky. And so like that's why like the first 3 holes, I was just totally amped up. And those first 3 holes, I was doing like a Neil impression and going long left, flying greens and pulling it. And so trying to, kind of dial back on that, but I was just catching flyers a little bit out of the middle of the fairway, which was
They
bizarre.
were shaggy. I think it's fair to say that they were shaggy. They
Yeah.
were not cut super tight, and it was funny because right after the first shot you hit, you're like, "Turp is weird," and then it kind of stayed an issue until really that par 3 when you went in and hit a really good one. It definitely played a part. But set the stage for us, TC. I'd love to get a little history of you and Neil in golf and playing matches. When did, I guess, how long was it until he became a threat? And then when did this, potential kind of evening of handicaps and ability to beat one another start to happen?
Good question. I think like it goes well beyond golf, right? We were very, very competitive growing up. But I'm 3 years, 3 months older, so I always had an unfair advantage. And
Were you guys like friends growing up?
yeah, we were friends, but we weren't like tight. It was almost like if you're like 2 years apart, you're kind of like hanging out. Where it was always like I was, I always felt like Neil was tagging along and making it so that like we couldn't do stuff because he was so much younger, right? And then I think stuff changed. Like, and like I used to just beat the hell out of him. And then like we had an older cousin, RC, who used to beat the hell out of me. So I was kind of like his younger brother.
Are we talking about like elementary school, middle school age, or is this like continuing into high school?
No, this is like mostly elementary school, middle school, and then high school. It was mostly like when I was a senior in high school, he was in 8th grade, so he was full kind of sequence behind me. And then when I went to college, I remember coming back and I think we got into a fight like in the basement and like actual punches were being thrown and like I couldn't beat him up anymore. Like he was bigger than I was, and it was kind of a stark role reversal. And I think that's kind of when it started to like we started to become friends, like true friends, I think, and relate to one another. And on the golf side of things, he was always the athlete playing golf, and I was kind of like the golfer. When it came to course management or swing stuff, or like I would go up and practice and all that. Whereas like Neil was always playing like 5 sports,
Right.
and so then I think so the golf stuff's pretty recent. Like he's gotten a lot better at golf over the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, where he's just kind of polished off his game, and like his ceiling is higher than any of us. I think like it's but it's just a matter of like I think it's still figuring out how to control his spin and some course management stuff. But it's like all the stuff that he's starting to do is like yielding dividends, right? So I think this entire year we've been the exact same handicap the entire year, but like on his best day he can smoke me, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. That multi-sport thing, and honestly, it's a nod to you, TC, of like, grooming him and getting him to the place that he is. And obviously, always want to beat the older brother, always want to chase. And it's funny to see that, with his football experience and listening to how influential you were with him on the Downrange pod, of getting him to kind of focus and do the damn thing. So obviously, that relationship has rubbed off and, kind of set the stage for him to then, have some success in other ways and golf and otherwise, which is kind of the sibling relationship that everyone kind of wants, right?
For sure. Yeah, no, I think the sky's the limit for his golf game. Like it's, I mean, he could pick up another 30 yards off the tee easily. He could dial in his wedges. He's a really good putter. Like I think some of the putting stuff is just because like he's not reading them right in certain cases, or his speed's off. But like he's got a really good stroke, and like he's good at making clutch putts. So
yeah, so we had the match set. We knew what it was going to be going in. You were absolutely vibing after unlocking some new positive putting thoughts coming into it. I mean, outside of for somebody who's notoriously the stiffest man in golf, probably being a little too loose and getting through the ball maybe a little too easy there. it was a really good match. And you got down quick, you fought back, and then it seemed like, we'll get to Ludvig, but it seemed like that really did change the match.
Yeah, it definitely made it to where, I was driving it well. Like I was in the fairway that whole front nine, and really the whole day I was in the fairway. And then he made that putt on 4. That was a big putt, but like making double from where I was, and like the chipping there was weird too, right?
Yep.
Like because you would get more than 5 yards off the green, and it would get really dry and kind of linksy. And then like you didn't know how to play the chip, or you'd get under it, or it was not a good situation for my yippee chipping stroke. But yeah, I think like that was a big putt he hit on 4, and then the birdie that he made right before Ludvig shows up. I think we're on 8T there. And yeah, Ludvig shows up, and I'm just like, I like the silence. I like the tension. I live in the tension. I live in that weird competitive space. And I like to lock in and really, really like, go to battle. And then as soon as Ludvig shows up, it's like it just took all the wind out, or like all the air out of that balloon. All the tension was gone. And it was like, let's hang out with Ludvig the rest of the day. And this match is happening as well. And so I think those first 4 or 5 holes, I'm trying to make conversation with him, make him feel very, make him welcome, make him, and just learn more about him too. Like I've never met the guy before either. And then marveling at his golf game as well. And so it definitely changed the tenor of the match. I don't think in a bad way, or I don't think, I think if anything, I was locking it down the stretch there a little bit more, 12, 13. I just couldn't get any momentum going either. Like there was just no, it was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Like, inexplicable weird mistakes out of the middle of the fairway, or, misclubbing myself, or, like I birdied 12 and then I bogey 13 out of the middle of the fairway with a wedge in my hand when I'm trying to stick it within 6 feet, or then I birdie the next hole, and then, the whole debacle on 15 with the chips and all that. And it's like just making the wrong decisions and making the wrong mistakes. And so I think it was one of those things where but even if that stuff doesn't happen, I think we get down to 17, and like maybe we're all square, or I'm 1 down, and then I think Neil still beats me. So I can rest easy at night knowing that. And, I think at the end of the day, it's like he definitely, sorry, I got somebody at the door here. He definitely, got a little bit, like kind of a little bit of a reprieve there, middle of the round, but I don't think it affected the overall outcome of the match.
Yeah, I look back at 12 where, that big around the corner par 5 where you made a pretty easy birdie, but he stepped up and it did the same damn thing, which was kind of a mo killer after you played a good hole. And then, that next hole when Neil plunked the tree and you unfortunately 3-putted, it's kind of like, oh man, now it's starting to get late at that point in the match. But then you stepped up and made that awesome birdie. Had those 3 changed, I think that 17 would have been a totally different vibe.
Totally agree. Yeah. No, I mean, he hit the important shots when he needed to,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of people would probably say, well, what do you mean your mind went elsewhere? You're in a match, you should focus on the match. But at the same time, like we put a ton, months and months of work preparing into this trip, and you want to, I get it. It's serious competition, but at the same time, like there's also other things that you need to focus on. And being a host, and you are the ones who coordinated with Ludvig, you set it all up, you had to host it. So the fact that like you are having those feelings completely makes sense. And I know a lot of people won't understand that, but you can see how it trickles into your golf game. But at the end of the day, like you said, like Neil's playing really good.
Yeah. No, like 100%. He's playing really good. And he's like, I think in match play too, like he's, aside from like him hitting the tree dead on 13, or like he's not making bad mistakes, right? He's keeping himself in every hole. He's really playing steady golf and not giving me anything. I think that's probably the, like there were no olive branches, given. It was like everything was earned by him. So
Well, let's talk about it. Probably it'll go up there as one of the greatest scenes in Tour Sauce as well. A routine mid-length par three that both you and your partner just tug it a little bit. It's funny because Neil, Neil's been hitting his irons pretty good. Like, he flagged quite a few shots that day, and you get up there and you kind of are analyzing different lies and everything else like that. At the same time, Ludvig like literally just dropped it directly down the pin, and that like in the video that like is just an afterthought. But it's just kind of wild to see it all come through. And what I want to say is before we show any of the filming of it is that any thoughts, trepidations from you kind of watching it back and preparing to watch it back and knowing that it was going to come out?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like that had been building up for like 3 or 4, or 5, like really since the first hole and the shipping stuff. And there's so much scar tissue there, and there's so much, just bad juju going with the chipping to where like I just had to like get it out, right? I had to like have that pressure release, and I was thinking about it. I was like, I didn't realize where Ben was, so I was kind of like, I think the speed and the veracity with which I thought I just had like an open tee box and just rough over there, and so the veracity and speed with which I threw it combined with like how close Ben was to me, where it was like Jesus. So
it came quick.
Yeah, came quick. Like hopefully it wasn't all that close to you. It was more just like the suddenness and the speed at which it happened.
It wasn't nearly as close, but as somebody that has has a long history and experience of throwing clubs like that, I do know how quickly those can stay on the hands a little bit longer and go left. So that was more what I was concerned about than the space. You had plenty of space to let it go.
How we ended up here, though, is, of course, there was a chip before this that kind of set the whole sequence of events off. Any thought at all here of pausing, getting a different club? This probably is not the wedge that you want to use for this little bump.
Yeah. I mean, the problem there is like, so you see the grass, right? So like,
Yes.
I was over on like super dry grass on that. And then once I missed that one, I'm like, all right, well, I got to like try to get this very close and like try to make one. The problem is like, the ball was reacting really weird. Like I can't putt this, or I can't,
right.
There's like those little clumps there. And I was on like really dry grass over for the first chip. And like, I really didn't hit that bad of a chip on the first one. It just kind of got held up. Like I was having to bounce them, to that pin. Like I'm having to bounce them either on the fringe or just short of the fringe, and then have them kind of, roll up. And so I like that one really wasn't as bad of a shot. And then it's just like, I'm just trying to like what I need to be doing is just try to get the ball down where Neil's got it there, to where like it's just get it on the green, work your way back, take 5 out of play. Essentially, like if you get it up and down, great. But the important thing is to like guarantee it 4. And and I just totally decelled, and like shit was just in my head, man. I think it hit the thing, like legitimately hit the club face 3 times. It hit the hosel once, and then
I don't quite know how
the club, and then the hosel, and then the club again.
It's almost like it just stuck to the club face,
scooped it,
and traveled. Balls. Yeah, it traveled up, and then we get a little hosel action, and then
a little toe.
Just a little kiss leaving at the end. What I'm more impressed with in this whole sequence of events, we'll go here, is that this little swing that you pull right here. This is the most freed up I've ever seen your hips.
That's hips phenomenal. Are so through that shot.
If you look,
cleared, yeah.
Yes, I mean everybody want to talk about showing cheeks and everything. This is a phenomenal swing.
No early extension in that one.
None. Everything's in the right position. You're moving through. You're loaded. You get over to your left side. It's great. Then we pull in here. We're going to do a quick pivot immediately behind you. Now, what I like right there, you make eye contact with Benny.
Yeah.
You had your bases covered here.
It was kind of like, hey, dude, like I see you. I know, like I wasn't expecting you to be there, but I do see you. I'm not throwing this at you right now.
Now we see Neil and myself in the background paying attention, very, very tuned in to what's going on. and really, this is when we're, whoa, what's about to happen here? Ludvig's doing his own thing, still reading a birdie putt, just trying to play normal golf. But I'm so impressed here because you make this split-second decision on your release. If you would have hung on just a little bit, maybe had a little bit tackier grips, Benny could be like an amputee right now. I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
I think sorry was coming off the lips right here.
I think I said I think I said like fuck or shit and then sorry immediately. Like
yes.
It was like one word basically.
You can feel the tension releasing as the sorry rolls off. It's like, we're done. It's over. Got it out. Release the valve.
Yeah, it was so cathartic. Like it was so like, oh my gosh, like all right, I feel good. I picked the putter up, hit just a shit putt. Like that pin was in a really tough spot for what it was too. Like that was the thing about those greens that I don't think it came through on camera quite as much, but like they were big greens and they had like very distinct shelves and plateaus where like, you had to hit your spots. And if you missed on the wrong side, like you were absolutely boned. But yeah, I don't know. It was just cathartic. Like I'm not a big club thrower. I don't throw clubs very often, or like I don't normally take stuff out on my equipment, but I normally just like talk to myself and like internalize stuff. But like sometimes you just gotta like do the pressure release, And
I will say that Benny, there is a slight little shake here from the tripod, but
yep.
I mean, as well documented here, that's the flinch there. That's not any remnants of club or ricochet or nothing else.
No, and it's funny seeing the shot from the other camera. I thought that I cowered in fear at the moment. Like, I thought I really, really like, hid myself from any potential club interaction. But it wasn't that bad. I didn't flinch that hard, which I don't know what that's worth, but hey, we faced it right in the face, and we didn't flinch too hard.
Yeah, and then Ludvig stands right up and does his aim point.
Right. Whoa, that just happened. But even then, like that was it. You moved on to the next tee, and it was just kind of like, all right, let's go. Let's dig it out.
That was the thing.
It was done.
It's
gone.
Get it out. Yeah, get it out, and like I just got to hit a better shot off that tee too. That was a tough tee shot. Like that was a tough tee shot. Shot on the par 3, and then I hit the driver off the deck on the next hole. And it was good. And like I think the other thing was like people were questioning the claw. The honeymoon period is over and all that. I just struggle on like slower greens, and those greens were just like they looked great, but they were just a little bit slow, and I could not adjust to it. And so, I'm happy to report that like I'm still like the claw experience has gotten better and better and better as I've gone along. I'm still 100% committed to it, and it's the start of a long, fruitful, prosperous relationship.
That's concerning for us as people that play against you.
Yeah, I will say that too. And when we played last month, I saw it in full effect, and it's still very much working. Well, we ended the match. Neil ended up beating you. Very, very well documented there. But I think what did we learn from our day with Ludvig, hanging out with him on the course, followed up by a great lunch? You're clearly a big fan. You have big aspirations for him and everything else like that. But what did that day mean?
Yeah, it's funny. It started out like the whole Ludvig thing kind of started out as a bit. Like I didn't know who he was. I just saw that like there was a Swedish guy that was number 2 and number 3 in the world amateur golf rankings, and Solly had been shitting all over the Euros as far as the Ryder Cup. And I'm like, well, you know what? Like we got reinforcements coming, baby. And then, and then like the more I kind of dug into it, the more I realized like, no, this kid's like actually like really legit,
really, really good.
Probably one of the better prospects that's come out in the last 5 to 10 years. And so it was so cool meeting him and getting to spend time with him and seeing like he's like as nice of a person as we met on the entire trip, and like one of the most well-adjusted, just really, really like genuinely authentic, nice, pleasant people to be around. And, I think he's like sky's the limit. And then obviously is, getting to watch his swing all day up close. It's like one of the most simple, repeatable actions I've ever seen. Like simple, not easy. Like simple being like simple, brilliant. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, like
simple is hard sometimes.
Yeah, and like he hits some just nasty little wedge shots. Like he's got all the shots. He hits this ball that like there's no chance it's gonna go more than 5 yards offline in either direction. He can work like he hits a straight ball, and it's got a little 3 yard cut on it or a little 3 yard draw, and it's really 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 impressive. And I think with a little bit of seasoning, he's going to be right into the top 30 in the world.
Yeah, Neil said something in the episode that might seem like hyperbole to start. He said it's great to be sherped around by one of the greatest, best golfers in the world, and I just don't think that that's far off at all. Yeah, I know he's still an amateur, so it's tough to judge, but I mean, he's already won professional tournaments on the Swedish tour. I think that, like you said, he's primed to be a top 100 pretty much right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, there's stories out there. Like I was talking to a couple other college golfers who played in the tournament out in the desert. I think either this past winter, where it was like there was a crazy wave. Like there was like the guys that got like the early late wave or whatever. The second day, like nobody broke like 74, and he shot like 68 or 69, and like everybody was like, it's the greatest round of golf I've ever seen before. Like he was on another level. But yeah, I think with him too, it's like he's back at Texas Tech for school again this year for senior year. He will go through the whole PGA Tour U stuff. He will he said no to live already. He said no to live when they came after him, last year or earlier this year. And I don't know, he just seems like he's about the right stuff. Like he's not trying to speed up the process. He's not trying to look for any shortcuts. He wants to play golf on the PGA Tour. He wants to win majors.
Yeah, Benny and I talked about this a couple weeks back, but like him saying no to he's basically saying no to money and saying like, I want to play for like the tournaments that I grew up with, that the history behind him and everything else like that. And it wasn't just like a big live contract, which, it was a big live contract, but also like we talked a lot about NIL and like how him being a foreign student in the United States, like he can't earn any NIL money because of the visas. And I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, no, and like that, and like so any NIL he makes has to be done around his international amateur golf stuff, not anything to do with his collegiate career, which is kind of a crazy thought. But yeah, it's like the money's going to take care of itself, right? He just needs to focus on the golf and doing the right stuff. And he's doing that. It's impressive. He's like wise beyond his years.
Definitely. So like level-headed too. You can tell that he's got the right mindset and whatnot. But back to the premiere in the live chat after the conclusion, you had mentioned next time you're coming out for blood. You're gonna do the damn thing. So what does that mean, and what are you gonna do to prepare for that?
It means I'm gonna work on my golf game a little bit, and I don't think I think I've said that in years past or whatever, but I feel like I'm finally at a point with our kids where like I can, they're both in school now. I can go to the driving range at lunchtime, or I can, I want to like, it's not so much about working on my golf game, because I think golf game will follow if I just start taking care of myself a little bit better and stretching and working out and that sort of stuff. And then, there's some bugs in the chipping and the putting, to work out. But as far as like the iron play, like that's just going to come from like more core strength and just being in shape. Right.
Yep.
100%. But yeah, so I don't know. I'd like to get back to like, being the dominant figure in the Neil battle where, I think I've lost what, 2 matches in a row. And then we had like the off the books Gutenberg, press action at Waterville that I lost to him on as well, which ironically on that one as well, I hit on that 18th hole. I got there in 2. I hit like probably the best driver off the deck I've ever hit on that hole. And then he makes that outrageous putt on. So.
Well, great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
The other thing too, this just came in. I'm on the stack system, baby.
Wow.
If Little Fitz can change his game around and put a little speed in it, so can I. recently acquired. So excited. I've been swinging it, following the proper protocols so far. So we'll see.
Huh.
We'll see what's to come.
I like it. I like it.
I like
Let
that
me know
too.
if you need anything, TC. But
Well,
I think you brought up a word earlier, nasty, and it's something that we didn't really explain anything. But
Nasty
anybody
Neil.
want to give their best shot of explaining the nasty Neil bit in the taxi?
TC, take that one.
I can't even remember how it germinated or how it kind of came about.
Randy.
The cabbie was like, I think we were dogging Neil to the cabbie. We're like, oh yeah, this guy's nasty as shit. Like he's he's a bad guy. You don't want to be around him. And then
Don't drive through school zones.
Right?
Yeah. We had to put him. We put him in the back of the van. We had to make sure that he was supervised. And then for some reason, I think we're laughing about something, waiting for the cab to get there. And then when it just kind of started. We drove past that weird, like whole city block that it was like an amusement park.
Yeah, Tivoli Gardens.
Yeah, and that's what kind of triggered it. And it was nasty Neil. He's not allowed anywhere. We're gonna jump out, but you got to keep driving him around for 2 hours because he's not allowed around children, and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, that dinner that night was
Restaurant bar, man.
Yes.
By
that's probably the second
far.
best meal of the trip behind the one at Ann and T's house, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think about that pork chop often.
Yeah, pork chop, those onions, yeah, just a fantastic meal.
Again with simple not being easy. I mean, I don't think there was anything on that menu that was more than like 1 or 2 ingredients. And that pork chop that came out, that brown butter, I think we all were about to pass away after leaving that, just due to butter and cream overload. But
I think I slept like shit the night before Barcelona because I had so much meat in me, like between the steak tartare, the pork, gin and tonics, the red wine we were drinking. And I'm like, oh my, and like all that brown butter. And I just felt like it sat in my stomach all night. And then, I was and then I had too much coffee that morning because the hotel had a great breakfast spread as well. So it's kind of like, oh man, like I was pretty ragged at that point in the trip. Like that was what, day 8 or day 9.
Yep.
Yeah, 9.
like
Anthony wants to know about your carrot cake before we roll on.
Yeah, we're all pretty slap happy at that point. And then hop in the car and got to drive, 4 or 5 hours up the coast to Rabastad and Fjällbacka. So
big movement day after we got done filming this round, a trip up the west coast of Sweden that's not going to be in the film, but that's kind of what was going on there. So everybody's just kind of a big lunch, trying to buckle in and then and hit the road. But I will say, food wise, is from the foodies of the group. I think all 3 of us, we could probably throw DJ in there as well, but we're doing our best to kind of highlight certain dishes, and it comes through on these culture shots. But really, I mean, we're just the people that are searching out good food everywhere we go. So why not document it and kind of make it part of the story?
Yeah, and something we can probably do a couple reels or a couple outtakes or something on the website, can kind of nest all that stuff and be like, hey, here's where we ate on the trip. Here's the name of the restaurants and all that. Cody, we did have a food debacle the day prior at Lunghusen after the Foster.
Yes. You want to talk about that?
We thought we were going to get a cookout, and that's what was kind of planned. And we show up, and there's some crackers and some cucumbers, right?
Well, yes, yeah. I think Benny and I had I think it was like a 6:30 wake up. Of course, the hotel breakfast was not set yet, and
we didn't have the opportunity to eat it.
We had to go film the morning match. So you were there, of course. You were the designated marker for the Randy DJ match, and then we bounced over that afternoon to the other course and hang out with the DeWiz guys. And it gets to the point where the match ends. I think the match got done at like 1 or 1:30, and we had a pretty tight timeline to get over to the other course to get everything, the DeWiz overview and spend some time there and then go play a little bit of golf. What was told was we're going to be food, and man, You want to talk about everybody jokes all the time? Like, what messes with me is I become like an angry, hangry ranger real quick. And it was just a lot. It was a
Yeah.
lot.
No, I felt bad, and I'm very much like I'm the kind of thing where like when I'm tired I get really bitchy, but when I can kind of suppress my hunger to a certain extent, and I'm not a big breakfast guy either, so I kind of ramp up as the day goes along, and so it doesn't even really occur to me, or it was like, hey, like we thought we had lunch or whatever, and then I'm nibbling on these cucumber crackers. I'm like, all right, cool, this is gonna hold me over. This is fine. And then not realizing that, like, oh shit, like, the pangs are hitting the others quite hard. So
The crew is getting bitchy.
Speaking of that trip up, to our Fjallbacka episode, 3 of us rode together, and Cody, I straight up, I gave you, my life in your hands, because there's no way I would have been able to drive that trip. I was so tired that day, and I think Tron fell asleep too in the car. And it's just like Cody's squinting through it, trying to get us up there. Yeah, that was a tough one, and I appreciate you greatly for taking that on, because we would not have made it if I was behind the wheel.
we spent so long in that convenience store too. We got
Yeah.
gas. We just wandered around this Swedish convenience store north of
Big city, bigger city.
yeah, what's the Gothenburg, north
Yeah.
of Gothenburg, and like we just wandered around there for like 20 minutes, because like marveling at their snacks, and everything's just a little bit different as far as the lickies and chewies.
Absolutely. The other thing is that I was just kind of shocked at the whole west coast of Sweden, and the like the sheer fact that there's like these nuclear power plants everywhere. Like Barsebäck was like surrounded by like nuclear facilities.
Well, they shut it down. It's like a big thing where they're not generating enough electricity now.
Sheesh.
And it's like, they didn't really figure out a replacement for it. But yeah, it was kind of crazy too. Just like a lot of bridges, it gets very rocky and maritime very quickly. Like you
Yep.
go from kind of sandy coastline and pine forests to like you feel like you're in northern Michigan or Maine or like West Coast.
Definitely.
Quickly.
Yeah, Fjallbacka. A lot of people asking. We put the picture of the logo up there while we're on the trip, and everybody kind of wondering what that place is. But we're going up the coast. We're gonna check out a place that truly is as rocky and as rugged as like a little seaside fishing town as I'd ever seen. And then for some reason, this golf course just opens right up in front of you, and you see. I can't wait to see it on film, because it's gonna show off so good.
Yeah, last 2 eps are going to be absolute bangers. I think it's going to like, just crescendo at, Fjallbacka is going to be great. We got a lot of good off course stuff, and then Lufaton's just like, holy shit.
Yeah, Deej is deep in the finale now, and he sent me a message and said, I'm not trying to be extreme here, but I'm just not sure that there is a better golf film than what we've got here for, episode 8, the finale. He's like, of course he said, I did make this, so just take that for what it is. But he sent me the intro, and I just broke out in goosebumps right away, and I was there. So I very much looking forward to that episode. And this Fjallbacka one is going to be wildly heartwarming. And if you've wanted to take a trip to Sweden or Scandinavia at large, this one's really going to do it for you.
Yeah.
It's ramped up to 12.
And then shout out to Justine as well, DJ's wife.
Yeah.
I think the music's been on point all season, but I feel like with each passing episode, we're getting a little bit, there's just more space to do fun stuff or to add a little bit more variety. And I felt like there was some great change of pace stuff on this one that that's different from previous episodes. They kind of both, because it was tough. It's like you're trying to flip between serious match and fun buddies trip at the same time, right? And kind of weave those two in and out, and really even like take the temperature of the match itself, where like it gets kind of inherently unserious for 4 or 5 holes there, and then it ramps back up at 12, 13, 14 kind of thing. So cool way of telling the story with the music there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. It's improved the overall product so much. It's just another layer on top that comes out of the DJ Pie household productions. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Busy week coming up. We're gonna have a match recap. We did you and Randy, of course, had Poosh, Daddy, and KVV on for an excellent trap draw talking about football this week. I hosted Monday Q on Downrange, got deep in the weeds about a lot of personal stuff, but then everything that he sees through qualification of professional sports. And then you're off to another awesome place next week. You're going to go play a hoopy, which I'm pretty sure last year is a place you made like 27 birdies in one day. So that's got to be some good vibes going for the Claw.
Yeah, I shot my lowest, and that was with a borrowed putter last year too. Freddie took my lefty putter out of the bag last year. I made I think I made 9 birdies that second round there on the kind of the whiskey loop course. I shot the lowest round of my life on a course where you can't keep score, which is kind of a tough thing. But I'd be fine going to a hoopy and not playing any golf either. It's like the food is that good.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. I think probably 4 or 5 of the best 10 meals I've had over the last like 3 years have been at a hoopy. It's
Holy
unreal.
smokes. Are you serious?
Yeah. So, but yeah, weather's nice down here. It should be really nice the next couple of days, and then Benny, you're cooking up some film room stuff too.
Yeah, we are deep in the scenes. We're gonna get you some nice post Taurus sauce holiday content. Got 3 film rooms coming out before the end of the year. We're neck deep in them right now. And speaking of scoring and music, it's the hardest part of this whole thing, man. It matters so much and could totally change the complexion of an episode or a vibe. And just running through song after song, trying to get something that fits. Is so freaking hard. So just another endorsement to what Justine's been able to do. But yeah, a lot of film rooms coming from all over the world, which is sick. So, going to have 3 in a row that come out to close the year, which is really exciting.
Pumped. Well, TC, I appreciate you taking the time. I know we held
Yeah.
you up from your afternoon workout, so get out there, get your workout in before phenomenal weekend. Are you still going to go to the match?
I don't know. My guy Harry couldn't line up a babysitter. His wife's out of town, and he couldn't line up a babysitter. So I'm trying to work through that of like, do I drive it's 4 hours each way, and I got to be back here by 11 a.m. My wife's got her company holiday party, and I got to take the kids to it. So got to figure out like, I'm either driving home solo at like, from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Saturday night, or I'm getting a hotel room midway through. I got to figure it out. So TBD on if I'm going.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of The Cut. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you back here next week.
Cheers.